My parents say my sister is not filial, and they won't give her a single penny in the future. Without any explanation, he directly transferred 20 million to me. The transfer was accompanied by a note stating, "Voluntary gift." 2 days later, on February 28th, I was invited home for dinner. The moment I saw my sister, I was shocked because her face was covered in scars. Not only that, but her leg was also crippled. Just as I was puzzled and about to ask, my sister's gaze turned frenzied as she looked into my eyes, shouting, "Tenfold system, transform." A wave of dizziness washed over me. My sister became as stunningly beautiful as a fairy, and her crippled leg instantly recovered. Yet my face is covered in scars, and my leg is crippled. Not only that, but my account balance was inexplicably wiped out in an instant. "Luna, the money has arrived." Ha ha ha. 200 million and 600,000. Mom and Dad shouted excitedly. They glanced disdainfully at me lying on the ground. This poor guy only managed to save a little over 60,000 after working for a year. Afraid I would reveal the truth, they knocked me out and sold me into the mountains. After discovering I was not a virgin and had a venereal disease, I was beaten to death by a violent maniac. When I opened my eyes again, I was lying on the bed in my rented room. My phone lit up with a WeChat call request from my mother. My eyes instantly turned red, and I nearly gritted my teeth to the point of breaking. It took me a full 2 minutes to compose myself before I called her back. "Hello, Mom? You silly girl. Why didn't you answer the phone for so long?" My dad off-screen must have reminded her to watch her tone. Only then did she suppress her temper and say to me, "We're at the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China on TJ West Road. Come over right away." I sneered to myself. It's the same old plot from my past life. "Okay, Mom, I'll be right there." Then I began to leisurely browse the web. 2 hours later, I arrived late. "Mom, Dad, why did you call me to the bank? You little brat. Making us wait here for 2 hours. I'm going to kill you." If it were in my previous life, I would have obediently endured it. But in this life, I will no longer be that pitiful creature craving familial affection. Facing my mother's furious strike, I directly employed Master Ma's technique of catch, neutralize, but didn't counterattack, fearing she wouldn't be able to withstand it. Grabbing her arm as she swung with all her might, I twisted it in one smooth motion, pinning her arm behind her back, executing a Gone with the Wind embrace. At the same time, I expressed my true feelings. "Mom, I know you're anxious, but please don't rush." Damn it. Me? Mom wanted to continue with her usual attacks, but realizing I was holding on tightly, she suddenly felt a bit awkward. I quickly changed the subject. "Mom, Dad, what did you call me here for?" "It's all because of that unfilial daughter Luna, who's been flirting around everywhere and constantly defying us. We've decided not to give her a single cent. From my memories of my past life, my sister may not have been promiscuous, but she certainly got involved with the wrong crowd. Otherwise she wouldn't have contracted those filthy diseases." On the surface, my mother wore an expression of grief and indignation, but her eyes were filled with deep affection. Such clumsy acting, why didn't I see through it at all in my previous life? When they gave birth to me, everything in the family was just getting started. They were so busy that they had no time to take care of me, so they sent me to my grandmother's house in the countryside, and I hardly saw them once a year. It wasn't until I was 6 years old that they gave birth to my younger sister. Now that they have achieved success in their careers, of course, they keep my sister with them to raise her. Remembering they had another child who was already 6 years old, I was then brought back to the city. I'm starting to wonder now, if my younger sister hadn't been born, I probably still wouldn't have been taken back. In the village, some kids bullied me. My grandmother went to argue with their parents, but she ended up getting hit on the head and bleeding. I called my parents, and their response was, "Stop causing trouble and making things difficult for us." From then on, I learned to endure in silence. Even if I was bullied outside, I never said a word to my grandmother about it. This also shaped my introverted and timid personality, making me afraid to speak up. Back in the city, my parents looked at me, dressed shabbily and timid in nature, with disdain and great displeasure. My mother curled her lip and said to my father, "Look at the child your mother raised, reeking of the countryside. Don't tell anyone she's my daughter when we go out." In order to win their affection, I helped with household chores as much as I could. In the end, when I had mastered all the skills, pouring milk for my sister, changing diapers, cleaning her bottom, and putting her to sleep, my parents handed all these tasks over to me. That night, my little sister cried so loudly it could shake the heavens. Yet my parents snored like thunder. Only I took care of my sister day and night. It turns out that the more hardship you can endure, the more hardship you will have to endure. The more obedient and sensible you are, the less you are valued. Once, my parents took us both to the children's playground. I said I needed to use the restroom, but my sister kept clamoring to play bumper cars. Without a second thought, Mom and Dad decided to start with the bumper cars. After 10 minutes, my younger sister wasn't satisfied and insisted on going 2 more times. When they came back, they saw that my pants were wet. Feeling the teasing glances from passers-by, my dad slapped me right across the face. From then on, I was never included in any outings again. Gathering my thoughts, Mom, Dad, I know you're just saying that out of anger. Please don't transfer the money to me, I really don't dare take it. As usual, I pretended to be timid. We're giving you the money, whether you want it or not. Mom's voice began to sharpen. No, I can't accept it. I firmly refused. Who would have thought that as soon as my words fell, my mother slapped me hard across the face. Without a word, I crouched down and tightened my already tight shoelaces. That slap landed squarely on my father's face. You son of a. My dad was about to explode, but when he saw the murderous look in my mom's eyes, he swallowed the rest of his words, chewing them up and forcing them down. He was clearly growing impatient. Luna, listen to your mom. Let's hurry to the bank and transfer the money. I knew that if I didn't take their money, they would never let it go. Besides, I had already thought of a way to handle it. So I obediently reported my bank card number. After getting my card number, the two of them went straight to the VIP counter to handle the transaction. Ding! The notification sound from my phone rang. A deposit of 88 million into my bank card? What's going on? In the previous life, it was only 20 million. But this time, how did it suddenly increase by 68 million? Before I could figure it out, another message came through. It was a note. This transfer is a voluntary gift. This was something my parents strongly insisted the bank staff add. I realized. It must be because they're afraid this money won't be counted as my personal assets. You've really gone to great lengths to scheme against me. In my previous life, after they tied me up, I overheard many of their secrets. My sister's tenfold system allows her to lock onto 3 of my attributes, multiply them by 10, and then transfer them to her. However, there is one condition. My sister's 3 attributes cannot be higher than mine. Moreover, if any one of the attributes fails to exchange successfully, the 3 locked attributes will not be exchanged at all. Instead, they will remain with me after being multiplied by 10. My sister directly bound my appearance, health, and wealth. My sister originally wanted to bind someone else, but the system prompted, only those with a blood relationship can be bound. Therefore, she had no choice but to select me. To lose to me in terms of appearance, she scarred her own face and bought me top-tier skincare products. To lose to me in health, she deliberately broke her own leg and engaged in improper relationships with unsavory people, contracting a dirty disease. To lose to me in wealth, she had our parents transfer 20 million to my name. I thought all of our parents' assets amounted to just 20 million, but it seems their assets are actually quite substantial, aren't they? What I didn't know was that this time, not only did our parents use all their assets, but all 3 of them also separately borrowed exorbitantly high-interest loans. Now my assets can't possibly be less than my sister's. And after the system completes the exchange, all the assets they transfer to me will be multiplied tenfold. For this risk-free deal, they just need to close their eyes and lend the money. Dad said earnestly. Luna, although we've given you the money, you mustn't spend it recklessly. You need to understand the importance of steady, long-term management. Mom expressed her true feelings. David, what are you saying? Luna is a child I've watched grow up. She's definitely not the type to spend money carelessly. I understand. Although the money was given to me, I can't spend it recklessly because it will eventually be yours again. I nodded obediently. Don't worry, Mom and Dad. The money you two worked so hard to earn isn't easy to come by. I won't spend it carelessly. Not a chance. The two words were silent. Now that the money had been deposited, I decided to start implementing my own plan. In this life, I will make all those who hurt me pay the price. Luna, where are you going? Mom grabbed my arm. Today is February 26th. Just like in my previous life, these two are planning to stick to me like glue, preventing me from ruining my appearance and health, and keeping an eye on me to stop me from spending money. Right under their noses. I used my phone to hire 10 elite bodyguards, 6 men and 4 women. You never know until you hire. Turns out elite female bodyguards are no cheaper than male ones. And their starting prices are even higher. I definitely want the top-tier package, priced at $35,000 per person per month. So for 10 people, that's $35,000. Anyway, it's not my own money, so spending it doesn't hurt at all. A WeChat friend request from someone named Captain Cold Maple came through. I immediately clicked agree and changed the remark name. Colleague Brother Leo. Hello, Miss Lincoln. My team and I have arrived at the address you specified. Me? Send up 4 female team members. The rest of the personnel should stay in the vehicle. Colleague Brother Leo. Received. Knock, knock, knock. I quickly walked over to open the door. 4 well-dressed girls stood outside the door, chatting and laughing. Luna. Sister Luna. Wow, the way they talk so familiarly. Anyone who didn't know better would think they were sisters from different parents. These people are indeed professionals. They must have reviewed my information before coming. Luna, who are all these people? My mom saw so many people arriving and immediately stood up, her expression shifting uncertainly. I smiled and said, they're all my colleagues, here to hang out with me. My mom subtly gave my dad a look, thinking no one else noticed, but it was keenly caught by all 5 of us, including myself. It felt like when you're playing Honor of Kings and think you've quietly slipped into the bushes to set up an ambush. But actually, a few of us seasoned players have been squatting in the nearby bushes for quite a while. I've noted with the security company to protect me from harm by my family, so they pay extra attention to every move my parents make. Ahem. My dad cleared his throat. Look, Luna's rental is so small. There's no place for you to sit. What's there to worry about, Uncle? We can just sit on her bed. With that, all 5 of us girls squeezed into my bedroom. Tina, bring the playing cards from the table. Let's play landlord. Okay. Nancy sis. Great. I immediately remembered 2 names. Tina, Nancy. I have to admire the intelligence and emotional intelligence of these bodyguards. Without any whispering or evasiveness, they confidently introduced themselves. While playing landlord with them, I was somewhat distracted because I didn't know what my parents were planning at the moment. Nancy noticed my concerns and discreetly took out a tablet with headphones. On the tablet, every move my parents made was clearly visible. Then she quickly typed on her phone. It's time to use lunch as an excuse to send us away. Sure enough, not long after, my bedroom door was knocked on. Luna, what are we having for lunch? Mom's voice sounded from outside the door. I could hear the suppressed anger in her voice, but I pretended not to notice. Mom, you and Dad go ahead and eat first. I'll take my sisters out to eat later. My mother immediately refused to hear of it. How could she possibly let me out of her sight? She quickly added, your father and I can't cook either. It's always the housekeeper who prepares our meals. We'll go out to eat with you. Inside the splendid pavilion private room at the Imperial Hotel. After confirming that no one had any dietary restrictions, I decisively ordered the Chinese-style luxury set meal. I had originally decided to order a bottle of 1992 Lafite. The production of 1982 Lafite was only 200,000 bottles. Yet over 300,000 bottles have been sold in China. At that moment, my mother began to lecture. Luna, it's not that mom is criticizing you. Luna, let's skip the wine. Exactly. None of us like that stuff, it's so sour and bitter. It just occurred to me that the ladies are not allowed to drink while on duty. My mother stopped mid-sentence. And on the other side, my father also breathed a sigh of relief. The dishes were brought to the table one after another: lobster, abalone, sea cucumber, you name it. To be honest, this was also the first time in my life I had a meal at a five-star hotel. The five of us ate with great relish, while the other two ate with gritted teeth. In the private room next door at QL Residence, five well-trained young men with crew cuts glanced at the sumptuous feast on the table, then at their captain who was eating with great relish. They exchanged looks but hesitated to pick up their chopsticks. Captain, are you sure our meal expenses are being reimbursed? Bodyguard Ben still couldn't quite believe it and wanted to confirm once more. Leo's chiseled face tightened, his sharp eyebrows lifting slightly. If you don't dare to eat, then go hungry. The rest of you, hurry up and eat. Yes, sir. The group responded in unison, their voices nearly lifting the roof off the private room. Hiss! The room filled with the sound of sharp intakes of breath. Each person received another tap on the head with a silver spoon. Cold Wind's face darkened. We're here to protect the boss in secret. Do you understand what secret means? Everyone was about to shout understood. In unison again, but upon seeing the captain raise the spoon, they instantly lowered their volume. Without even vibrating their vocal cords, they produced a voiceless understood. JX private room. My parents had dark expressions the whole time, trying hard to force a smile but unable to produce even a hint of a fake one. They often dine on extravagant meals costing 30,000 yuan, and they don't mind the expense. However, if this 30,000 yuan feast is meant for me, they feel I don't deserve it. I understand their thought process. Damn it. I only spend 30,000 on a meal, you little brat. The 30,000 you spend on a meal is actually 300,000 2 days later. Why don't you choke on it? After struggling for a long time, my mom finally couldn't hold back and called me outside. Luna, your dad and I just told you to be frugal. How could you spend over 30,000 on a single meal? Yeah. With your meager salary? How long would it take you to earn 30,000? My dad chimed in. I shrugged. Is it my fault? If you ask me, Mom and Dad, I should just transfer the money back to you. I won't take it. It's much better for you two to keep control of the money yourselves. Absolutely not. That's... My mom's voice was sharp, but she was cut off mid-sentence by a hard slap across the face. My mom was completely stunned. When she finally snapped out of it, she was furious and humiliated. David, how dare you hit me? My dad stood his ground. Why wouldn't I dare hit you? What's wrong with our daughter spending a little money on a meal? Helen, let me tell you, we're going to spoil our own daughter. Dad! I moved to hug my father, squeezing my eyes several times but failing to shed a tear. My mother reacted quickly too, hurriedly comforting me. I didn't say anything. If the child wants to spend money, just let them spend it. After settling the bill and leaving, I didn't provoke the two any further and went straight back to the rental house. My parents tried to urge me to leave again. Luna, look, it's getting late, isn't it? Yeah, it's getting late indeed. Mom, Dad, you should head back first. My parents, is this silly girl failing her Chinese reading comprehension or something? I glanced at the thin single bed in the narrow rental room. This small bed can't even fit the three of us. Mom and Dad fell silent. After a long while, they finally managed to say, "We'll sleep on the sofa." Absolutely not. I can't possibly let my dear parents sleep on the sofa. So, I settled Mom and Dad in the single bed, and I took the bodyguard brothers and sisters to stay at a hotel. In the rented room, the two left behind stared at each other. My dad quickly contacted the company's security captain. Hey, Keep a close eye on that damn girl and report her location to me at any time. After about 10 minutes, a video call came through on my dad's phone. Upon answering, the face of the security captain, Neil, appeared. Neil spoke urgently. Boss, I lost track of her. Trash. Idiot. Neil was almost scolded into depression. He was also speechless. He had been following just fine, but suddenly a sedan cut in front of him, driving at a snail's pace ahead. Originally, there were still over 10 seconds left on the green light, but under the Buick's slow speed, he was left with only a red light. Seeing the boss was in a hurry, he stepped on the gas and ran the red light to chase after him. The traffic police on duty signaled for him to stop, but he didn't. At the next intersection, he was intercepted by several motorcycle-riding police officers. Husband, why does this life feel so off? Many things are different from the previous one. My dad nodded in agreement, his brows furrowed into a deep shape. In the previous life, that dead girl's colleagues never came knocking on our door. My mom gasped sharply, her voice filled with concern. Could that dead girl have found out something? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Only the three of us know about Luna's system. How could that dead girl possibly have discovered it? What they didn't know was that their every move was being transmitted in real time to the control tablet through a hidden listening device. Pfft. In the hotel's presidential suite, Sarah couldn't help but laugh out loud while watching the surveillance video. As she laughed, the others also burst into unrestrained laughter. It was like the Japanese devils wanting to enter the village, ordering their soldiers, "Enter the village quietly. No shooting." The village chief and the little soldier nodded behind them. Yoshi. The scene cuts back to the rental apartment. After learning that I wasn't in the rental apartment, Luna sent a video call request. Mom, Dad, what's going on? How could you not even keep an eye on someone? Luna's scarred face looked even more menacing with anger. Oh, Kisaragi, don't be so hasty. We can't just follow her everywhere she goes. Can we? Wouldn't that make her suspicious? Yeah, Luna. She's just a naive little girl who hasn't seen the world, spending less than 100,000 a day. What do we have to worry about? Hearing her parents' words, Luna's expression finally softened a little. Among them, she was under the most pressure. If the system exchange failed, her parents would at most lose money, but she would lose everything. Therefore, she dared not be the slightest bit careless. These past 2 days, she has been keeping a close eye on her phone messages, calculating that before the system exchange begins, she must always pay attention to whether Rachel transfers money to her. If she transfers money to herself, the plan will be completely ruined. Not only that, but Rachel would also gain an enormous advantage. How could that be allowed? After hanging up the video call, my dad made several phone calls and tracked down the hotel where I was staying. Colleague Leo, boss, the car with 4 tails is also parked outside the hotel. It's fine. Just a few dogs. No need to mind them. Leo looked at his team members and said, keep a close eye on them. If they dare to approach the boss, take them down immediately. But don't kill them. The remaining 5 people softly replied in unison. Yes. The next day, Mom and Dad came to me early in the morning with dark circles under their eyes, clearly having trouble sleeping on my hard, narrow bed. Another day of eating, drinking, and having fun. That day, I also went to a luxury store for some shopping. After a spree, I realized I had only spent a little over 1.5 million. My dad and mom had dark expressions the whole time, while their family went all in, trying to maximize their profits and earn a bit more. Who knew I could be so wasteful? Spending money without even blinking? Every time I spent a dime, it felt like they were being stabbed. Watching the muscles in their faces twitch uncontrollably, anyone who didn't know better would have thought they were about to have a stroke. A pleasant day finally came to an end, and tomorrow I'll officially have to face my sister. At the entrance of the Lincoln family villa, I once again saw Luna's face, which looked as if it had been carved by knives and axes. Anyone who didn't know better might think she had fallen into a shredder. In truth, even if she didn't slash her face with a knife, she still couldn't compare to my beauty. Even if she didn't contract a filthy disease, I would still be healthier than her. Yet, she has degraded herself to such a state, all driven by her twisted jealousy and malice. She wants to seize every advantage for herself while leaving nothing for me. Sister, what happened to your face? Who on earth did this to you? I was furious. I said, and if it weren't for the Mary's laughter behind me betraying my true feelings, I would have kept pretending. Ha 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 ha. My sister's insane and perverse laughter made the air feel several degrees colder. Her eyes were feverish as she looked at my fair, stunningly beautiful face. Sis, do you know what day it is today? I shook my head. Sister, today is the day of the 7 stars alignment. Do you know what that means? I still shook my head. It means my tenfold system can be activated, and you will lose everything. My eyes were panicked. Sister, are you crazy? I'm your sister. Your own sister. Shut up. What right do you have to call yourself my sister? You're just a pitiful creature that no one loves. I looked at my mom and dad behind me. Mom, Dad, what is my sister talking about? Has she gone crazy? He he he. Who knew that both of them would let out a chilling laugh at the same time? Mom, you little bitch. Unlucky star. If it weren't for getting pregnant with you, would your dad have cheated? Would that old witch, your grandma, have nagged in my ear all the time? Would my dad have died? I widened my eyes in disbelief, staring at Helen. What kind of joke is this? David cheated because he has character flaws. My grandma scolded you because you have character flaws. And my grandpa got into a car accident because he has a drinking problem. Earthquake, typhoon, flood, just pin them all on me. I even single-handedly stirred up the Iraq War. I'm wrong. I'm guilty. My counterattack was as dense and sharp as machine gun fire, leaving Helen almost speechless. She suddenly couldn't go on, and after thinking it over carefully, she had to admit that all these accusations could indeed be pinned on me. While Helen was lost in thought, David wasn't having it. He decisively seized on a key point. You little brat. Who are you saying has poor character? I rolled my eyes so hard that even the pupils disappeared. Dad, how is your reading comprehension so poor? Didn't you hear me add the subject? My dad, that's you. The little sparrow I had always bullied suddenly turned into a big-tailed eagle. Seeing that he couldn't out-argue me, my dad charged forward and delivered a powerful slap. But come on, the wind-up for that heavy hit was so long that even Shaquille O'Neal's grandma could have dodged it. Okay? I pulled the same trick again, bending down to tighten my shoelaces. Slap! My mom, who had been gloating with a smug look on her face, took the blow right to her cheek, spun 180 degrees on the spot, and fell to the ground. David missed his first strike and was about to raise his hand to hit me again. Stop! Before I could even get angry about being hit, Luna was already furious. After all, her looks were about to be enhanced tenfold based on my appearance. How could she possibly let me get beaten up? Luna glanced disdainfully at her mother, who was lying on the ground, and her father, who was standing there in a daze. Then, she cautiously checked her phone messages to confirm it was safe. Tenfold system. Activate! I felt a familiar dizziness, and then I saw Luna enveloped in a sacred golden light. Her appearance was the first to transform, as the scar on her face began to fall away like fragments. I had intended to step closer to witness this miraculous sight, but found myself unable to move an inch. Before long, my sister's appearance and health were restored. A stunningly beautiful woman, as if descended from the heavens, appeared before me. Her eyes sparkled with life, captivating and radiant in every expression. Her long, straight legs were elegantly curved, full and firm. Although it's not the first time I've seen it, this breathtaking beauty still makes me feel utterly ashamed. At the same time, I lost my balance and fell to the ground. My body could finally move again, and I knew the exchange of beauty and health was complete. Now I've become an ugly cripple. Are you my sister? I asked, in disbelief. That's right, sister. I should thank you, my sister teased, her voice now as melodious as a heavenly tune. Why thank me? I asked. feigning confusion, because the beauty and health I now possess are 10 times greater than yours. He he he. Luna's silvery laughter echoed through the air, no longer carrying the previous gloom and eeriness, making even the grass in the villa courtyard dance with joy. However, he. He he he. My sister's voice returned to the somewhat hoarse he. She hurriedly tried to cover her mouth with her hand, only to be stunned to discover she couldn't move. In her beautiful eyes, as bright as stars, a sacred golden light was reflected. I was enveloped in golden light. Not long after, with a thud, my sister regained her ability to move. Looking up again, she saw the same stunningly beautiful face that I had seen earlier. On that chiseled face, expressions of jealousy, confusion, shock, anger, and disbelief kept shifting, creating an incredibly dramatic scene. Even an actress of the caliber of a film queen would be unable to switch expressions so swiftly and with such genuine emotion. Ding! System notification. Exchange failed. The host's assets exceed those of the binding target. Rachel. Ding! As the host failed to complete the task, the system will automatically unbind. Good luck and goodbye. No. No. Please don't go. I beg you. Don't leave. My sister even knelt on the ground, clasping her hands together and repeatedly knocking her head against the hard floor tiles. In no time, my sister was bleeding from the head, her whole body as if drained of its tendons, collapsing weakly to the ground. As the bound object, I naturally heard the system's notification sound just as I had in my previous life. Sister, you should never, ever have thought of harming me. The reason you've ended up like this is entirely your own doing. My sister looked terrified, shaking her head and muttering, Impossible. Impossible. I couldn't possibly be richer than you. You have 88 million, and I even borrowed from loan sharks. I should be poorer than you. I handed a document to Luna. I bought you an 80 million trust fund. In 50 years, you'll be able to enjoy the returns from the trust. Oh, wait, the moment you activated the system just now, that trust fund should have disappeared. Sure enough, when I checked, I found that the trust no longer existed. My bank notification had already been sitting in the unread messages. I opened the text and saw that 800 million had been deposited into my account. My sister's eyes widened, and her finger trembled as she pointed at me. You knew all along, didn't you? I smiled sweetly. Guess. Then he turned around, leaving the family with a dashing silhouette. Inside the car not far away, Leo and the others waiting in the car were stunned the moment they saw my peerless beauty. As if someone had pressed the pause button, their gaping mouths couldn't close again, and if it weren't for the drool dripping down, you'd think it was a still image. Damn it! Ben let out a cry of pain as the cigarette butt burned his finger, startling the others awake. Ahem. Captain, Miss Lincoln seems to have suddenly become a lot more beautiful. How did she do it? Jack's shout echoed everyone's thoughts. Leo was also quite surprised, but he still pretended to be deep and mysterious. Don't ask too much about things in society. Seeing that I was about to leave, Luna shouted sharply, Mom, Dad, you can't let her go. Only then did David and Helen realize that all their assets were tied to me. In an instant, they understood and lunged toward me. Instead, he bumped into a solid wall of people and landed on his buttocks with a thud. Leo and the others didn't give them any chance to get close to me. Stopping them directly, David urgently called out, Luna, it was Dad's fault all these years. Please forgive me, okay? Luna, Mom knows she was wrong too. You can't just abandon us. My tone was icy cold. From the moment you allowed Luna to take everything from me, you ceased to be my parents. From the moment you sold me into the mountains, you became my enemies. You really have been reborn? Helen stared at me in disbelief, as if she had seen a ghost. Don't come bothering me again, or I won't hold back next time. Oh no. It's all over now. Our money. My mother's hysterical voice rang out behind me. Slap. It's all your fault. You little wretch. If it weren't for you, Why would I have mortgaged the villa and taken out a loan of 20 million? And you wretch, stirring up trouble between me and my daughter. I turned my head and saw only Luna and Helen on the ground, covering their faces. You hit me? You dare hit me? The two of them were stunned for a moment before suddenly lunging at David, clawing and pulling at his hair. Watching the loving family brawl, I got into the car. Nancy, let's go. It's over here. Returning to the rental apartment, I packed my luggage and moved directly into my newly purchased spacious apartment. I didn't like living alone in a huge villa, it felt too empty. After just a few days of peace, I received a call from the court. Hello, Ms. Rachel. I am a staff member of the J-City XX Court. Your father, David, and mother, Helen, have filed a lawsuit against you, alleging that you fraudulently obtained 88 million yuan of their property through improper means. Please appear in court in 2015. They just won't let go. Since they want to take this to court, then let's go to court. I hired the best lawyer to sue him. He was the one who initiated the transfer to me, and I have all the audio recordings, along with the voluntary gift note after the transfer. David and Helen have absolutely no chance of winning the lawsuit. I returned to my hometown and brought my grandmother to live with me so she could enjoy a comfortable life. I changed both her and my phones and phone numbers, as I no longer wanted any contact with the Lincoln family. The 3 members of the Lincoln family gathered their extended relatives to come looking for me, but they were all stopped by Leo and his people. In the blink of an eye, a month has passed. Leo led the group to stand before me. Miss Lincoln, the bodyguard rental contract you signed with our company expires today. I was slightly taken aback, only then remembering this matter. After a month of getting along, I truly couldn't bear to see these pure and lovely people leave. Why don't you just come work at my company directly? Nancy, Tina, Sarah, and Mia were clearly tempted. This was the most relaxed, enjoyable, and pleasant protection mission they had ever carried out. But then they smiled wryly. Have you ever seen a tiger needing a pack of wolves for protection? Miss Luna alone could easily handle Captain Leo and his 6 men, with only Captain Leo barely able to hold his own for a couple of moves. You're telling me now that you need protection? I don't believe a word of it. The group exchanged glances, and in the end, it was Nancy who spoke up. She scratched her head awkwardly and said, Luna, to be honest, this is the first time I've ever felt my salary was too hot to handle. Why don't you just let us go protect those truly vulnerable women instead? The rest of the group nodded in agreement, their heads bobbing like garlic being pounded. I never expected Luna's system to be so extraordinary. After my health increased tenfold, my strength, agility, and stamina all reached unprecedented heights. Watching the few of them leave reluctantly, I suddenly felt a hollow emptiness in my heart. Leo looked back several times, wearing an expression that seemed hesitant and shy, leaving me utterly confused. Just when I thought everything had settled, David and Helen somehow managed to find me again. It was as if they knew the bodyguards had left. They came to my door just as I was about to take my grandmother out. David hurriedly called out to me, Luna, my child. Helen grabbed my arm. Luna, your parents have already apologized to you. What more do you want? What more do I want? I shook off the woman's hand. Don't touch me. I don't have a mother as vicious as you. Helen instantly flew into a rage. Think I'm vicious? You came out of my belly. What's with the holier-than-thou act? As she spoke, she shoved me hard, clearly intending to send me tumbling down the stairs to my death, so that as my direct relatives, they could conveniently divide up the inheritance I'd leave behind. I pulled the same trick again, tying my shoelaces. Helen ended up shoving right into Grandma. Ouch! Grandma tumbled down the stairs, hitting her head and bleeding profusely. Grandma already had a heart condition, and after such a fall, she was pronounced dead before she could even be taken to the hospital. The police reviewed the surveillance footage from the hallway, and Helen was suspected of intentional homicide, so she was taken away by the authorities. David was also taken away, but since he was not involved in the pushing and shoving throughout the incident, he was released shortly after. I then quickly handled the funeral arrangements for my grandmother, took her ashes, and evenly scattered them into a foul-smelling ditch. Lisa, I hope you don't mind me burying you in a stinking ditch. After all, you were all in cahoots, sharing the same rotten stench. In my previous life, after escaping from the mountains, I discovered that the village I had just left was actually not far from my grandmother's house. I stumbled my way to her place and told her everything my parents and sister had done. I thought she would help me call the police to bring all the wrongdoers to justice. But instead, she drugged me and called my parents. When several people rushed over upon hearing the news, I could hardly believe that my dearest grandmother had betrayed me without a moment's hesitation. My heart died completely in that moment, leaving not a single shred of attachment to the Lincoln family. In this lifetime, she once again sold me out for the sake of her own son, but I didn't care in the slightest. I just wanted to shout, "Congratulations on the old Buddha ascending to heaven. Be a good person in your next life." Back in the neighborhood, I always felt like someone was following me, but when I turned around, there was no one in sight. Just as I took out my keys to open the door, I suddenly heard footsteps behind me. I quickly turned around, only to be knocked unconscious by a heavy blow. When I woke up again, I found myself lying on a worn-out bed. I am all too familiar with this bed. In my past life, it was on this very bed that I endured endless humiliation, physical torment, mental devastation, and utter despair. In this life, I have returned, but this time, the roles of offense and defense have been reversed. Bob's perverted gaze roamed freely over my body, like a filthy pair of scissors scraping against me, making me feel extremely uncomfortable. The corners of my lips curled slightly. "Hello, Bob. It's a pleasure to see you again. Interesting. You know me?" Bob gazed greedily at my face, and I knew just how much temptation my face held for him. "I don't see any fear in your eyes. Why aren't you afraid?" As a seasoned pervert, he relished the fear of the weak the most. If the victim wasn't afraid, it was as bland to him as cooking without salt. Why should I be afraid? I curled the corner of my mouth and retorted. Bob smiled brightly. "Because you don't yet know what you're about to face." I smiled too, even brighter than him. "It seems you don't know what you're about to face either." With that, I threw a punch at his chest, sending him flying 3 meters away. Bob's body shot backward like a cannonball. Thud! He crashed into the wall and bounced back, a visible dent caving in on his chest. Pfft! He couldn't hold back and spat out a mouthful of blood. This punch felt like a purification spell. The lewdness in Bob's eyes was gone, the perversion was gone, the cruelty was gone, and the smug mockery was gone too, leaving only pure fear. "Please, please, spare me." I smiled and shook my head. Impossible. My smile must seem like a demon's in the eyes of this devil, right? His voice trembled. "Give me a quick death." I shook my head. Impossible. He struggled to lift his arm, trying to reach the fallen dagger, but I stomped on his hand. Crack! The sound of bone breaking echoed. Bob gritted his teeth so hard they nearly shattered, and beads of sweat rolled down his forehead. Yet, he endured without uttering a sound, refusing to give me even a hint of satisfaction from revenge, clinging to a dignity that no longer existed. However, he ultimately failed. When he was treated in the same manner, Bob became as wretched and pitiful as those he had once tormented. His voice was so loud that I had to stuff a smelly sock into his mouth to lower the decibels. From the afternoon until dawn the next day, I stayed up all night. Bob ultimately turned into nourishment, silently nourishing the flowers, plants, and trees all over the mountains and fields. I picked up my phone, found Luna's WeChat, and sent her a message. "Sis, Dad said your mom's child with someone else. So in the end, he chose to help me." 2 days later, I saw the news. Woman stabs father 36 times before calmly taking her own life. A notification sound came from the phone. It was a video call from Leo. A fair and rosy, handsome face appeared on the screen with a hint of awkwardness. "What's wrong, Captain Leo?" "Miss Lincoln. I like you. Dean. staring blankly at the video call that had been hung up by the other party. So you called just to say one sentence? Wait, what did he say? I decisively called back.